in our quest for 10 manufacturers worth of turbo motors per minute, whatever that worked out to, 18.75, we've come to the desert. This rocky, barren, completely devoid of all life, just kind of not the best spot to ever build anything. Oh, why am I playing this game? But we're here because we need steel. Not just a little bit, like a lot. And I just got this fun new recipe for compacted... Oh, wait, no, where is it? Here it is. Compacted coal. Now, this compacted coal takes sulfur, which... There it is. And then there's some coal somewhere around here. I think it's along the ocean. Oh, hello. When did you get there? And these two things together, we can put them together in a foundry with some iron for this alternate recipe, compacted steel ingots. Now why? Well, it gives me more steel than the iron I put in. And because we're gonna need like, 400 steel pipe a minute or something like that, we need as much output as possible, even if it means more coal or sulfur or resources in general. So I've started doing the math. I'm going to convert this entire sulfur vein into compacted coal, as does 25 in, 25 out. So in order to go through all 600 of it, 6 times 4 is 24. So we'll need 24 of these, and if I stack it 3 high, then I can split it on just one set of splitters and then do a manifold setup. So it'll work out pretty well, actually, you know, once I build it. And just like that, it's kind of built out. Well, a sixth of it is built out. I did some belt work, and I set up the top, middle, and bottom row. So when we have it all set up, this will be on. Just a quick little equipment workshop over there. We'll have it so that there's a level 3 lift to the second floor, and a level 3 lift to the third floor. That's the wrong way, maybe a little low. But once these are set up, you just do the same manifold setup. So manifold, you put it in on one side and kind of just like trickles over until they fill up. We can do that for each of them because we know that the input of 600 will match the output of 600. Now the only other part that we have to do once we get to that point, just turn my flashlight on, is down here. I found a coal node. I've already put the wiring down and everything. There's a pure node right down here. So we're gonna take all the pure coal out of that. So once that's set up, there we go. Yep, there's our coal. So that's 600. Well, I actually have to go put slugs in it, but that'll be 600 in. That'll go across the manifolds and we'll be good to go. So I'll just leave this here for now, but at least now we're ready for it. Now I'm gonna make one small deviation from what I just explained. That's to add 2 extra on the bottom and 1 extra on each. And retro, you might be saying, why? That sounds really stupid, to be honest. And you'd be right, it is kind of stupid. But there is a method to the madness, and that is because we're going to have minor Mark 3s at some point. Once we get turbo motors set up, then this minor Mark II will be able to run much faster. Let's just pump this all the way because we will have to. So it's running at 600 right now, but with a minor Mark III, then we take a couple of these out and we can cap it out at 720, which is the speed of a level 5 belt, which means then we need 4 more to create the entire array. So if we underpower ourselves now and kind of plan for the future, and we can just slap a couple extra on, 2 here, 1 there, 1 there. And then we're ready for when the minor Mark IIIs get here, when the turbo motors are actually done. So that's the method, that's the madness. It makes sense, I promise. It's just a little bit weird to think about this far ahead. And with a little bit more belt work, and the setting sun, so I better talk quick, it's all done. So all I did was set up the manifolds. These are all set up. I did it in 2 different ways so that I can explain both, but both work depending on if you have the fix-it awesome shop components or not. These ones are just 2 meter high splitters, so it's the same as the ones on the floor, just 1 higher, so you don't have the gross overlapping belts. But then if you have the conveyor belts that slap into the roof, I think they're called conveyor mounts, conveyor ceiling mounts, you can get them in the awesome shop. You can do the same thing, but you mix it with these conveyor lifts, and just slap them together like that, then it'll feed it into the bottom of the next floor. Now they're a little bit finicky, sometimes they don't work, but at least now it's testable and I can fix them as I need to. Now it's just a matter of adding power to every single one of these, and then I'll add the power to the mining operation last so I can watch the manifolds in action and kind of show off how it works. But once this is all done, there we go. I think that's everything. I love when you get the wires kind of like perfectly set up like these, so you get this like fanning motion. Anyway, that should be everything. all I need to do is hook this into that main line where the rest of our power is. You know, let's do it properly. Use a power switch. Slap this right here. B line onto this line. And the A line onto the main line. So we can always shut this off if we need to. Turn this on. And we can see that it's going to take 432 megawatts of power to run this. Okay, yeah, looks like we're ready to go. We've got a total of 20,000 capacity right now, so this should be easy enough to run. It's now on main power. This should be spinning up. There we go. And if we climb up, get a better view of the manifolds from up here. So, assuming all the belts are connected properly, this should start feeding up. Yep, there we go. Oh, I love it. It's like an orchestral dance of beauty. So this one on the far side is getting half of what's being split here. So 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Now, it's always good to go through and just double check that things are running properly. You can see that this one, for some reason, isn't connected. And I bet you it's because this isn't actually splitting. It's just hiding. Well, it was splitting. Oh, there's this one piece in here. Okay, so let's just get rid of this entirely. And we can redo that splitter connection. That should hopefully just automatically take. Nope, it did not. Splitters in this game are not fun. Usually they just don't work. Here we go. So now this one's all set up. It's just waiting for the coal to feed through. We're about halfway through on this one. Looks like about the same on the middle, and then the top about the same. Now, I do know that this one isn't going to run at full capacity because we did add those extra on, so one on each end of the row for the 720 that we are going to eventually have. But now let's just put it back all together, and then maybe I'll just throw it into an awesome sink until we're really ready to use it. And then, you know, we can just get those printable coupons until then. So for 408 pipe, we'll need 612 ingots, and we can look at this recipe and say, okay, well, one of these will make 37.5, so we can divide 612 by 37.5 to get us how many things we'll need. We'll need 16.5. So let's just say 17. So if we have 17 of these things, then we need 17 times 22.5 per minute of iron ore and 17 times 11.25 compacted coal. And I can already tell you that's easily doable. If we're pushing 600 out of this thing, even if this was 20, we're fine. Yeah. Right? Right? And you know what, folks? I wish the madness stopped there, but then I was talking to my friend. I was like, wait, well, why don't we just build it out completely? Like, we have all of the infrastructure built out. That is as much compacted coal as we're going to have. So why don't we just make a factory that uses all of the compacted coal? And I said, well, if we're going to be using all of the compacted coal, then we're going to need twice as much for the iron. We're going to need 2 pure iron veins to utilize all the coal. And then I built out the factory. This is a very, very big factory. I was not expecting it to be this large, but it is, I think it's 80 foundries? I still have to clock it all in, but it'll be 80 foundries with the compacted steel ingot recipe. So it's going to pump out 37.5 times... it's going to be a lot. It's just so much. So if we have 37.5 coming out, and it takes 30 for one steel pipe production, then we can just do a quick 37.5 divided by 7.5 and see that it equals exactly 5. And there we go. That's it. All done. We figured it out. Case closed. So what we have to do is just put a little splitter, probably right here on each of these, and then we just slap some mergers in a line on this side. Then we can hook all these together. We can... it's broken. Then if we have the splitters on this side, they can all face outwards into their respective channels. That'll be the 7.5 line, once this is fully saturated, of course. And we just put them all together like this, with a little bit of jank. Maybe I'll fix this up a little bit, but, you know, this is just a demonstration. We can have 7.5 plus 7.5 plus 7.5. And then this fifth one in the back just has another steel pipe output. Then we have a completely balanced system, and it's tileable. So for every 4 foundries, we can make 5 steel pipe factories. So then I just have to do it like, well, a lot. I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 per level, and there's 4 levels, so there's 16 of these belt networks that I have to set up. I'll probably figure out a better spot to put this one so it's a little more compact, or maybe not even more compact, just a little less awful to look at. So the general intake is going to be some sort of manifold system for the top, and then I'll have something strung underneath from the bottom so that I don't have to worry about belts overlapping. And then on the back we're going to have to work on something else because it's 37.5 out, but you only need 30 for pipes, so it's going to get a little weird, but I'm going to figure something out and then I'll show you the back end when we get there. I'll make it so that the iron comes up from the bottom because that's where the mines are, and the top will be a beautiful manifold for all the compacted coal. And after a lot of trial and error, here's what I figured out. So on top, it's just a large manifold, like a really, really large one. And you can kind of see I got a little bit of compacted coal coming in already. And it's got this like tiered structure pattern because it fills up each one slowly. So it'll take a long time for the one at the end to get filled up, but eventually they'll all be running at full capacity. I've got 4 of these belts and I just did a quick like little splitty split. And right now, just because, you know, it's going into an awesome sink, I've just got that on an overflow line into the awesome sink. And then on this side we have 4 different lines, and I've lined them all up perfectly so that when I need to, I'll just line this up and it does a nice 45-degree angle right in there. Now on the back side, that's where the fun begins. Like I said, it's a 7 3/4, hold on, let me just check, 7.5 extra on each one, and if you add 4 of those together then you get 30, so they just merge those 4 all together, and then you put it into one of these back ones. So I've got it set up so that the lower line is just going straight forward, so it's down and over. That'll be 30, and then on this upper line, it'll just be the overflow of the rest. So it'll be like almost a reverse manifold, like this top line will get saturated first, and then the forward one will get saturated. The only thing left to do is, well, put it all back together, so a bunch of mergers, and then some sort of storage system, or an awesome sink, at least for now, and then I just have to do it 4 times. I've only done it once. Kill me. After that, all I have to do is hook up everything to power. Everything's already got the recipes built in. And then I have to go to that miner and bring it all the way over here. And then there's another one somewhere out there, and I gotta do the same thing on that one too. And then I have to belt it all up below because that's still not actually connected. It's just, you know, holes in the floor, and they'll have to fix all those belts as well and put in the splitters. You know what, I think, what time is it? It's 1 in the morning. I'm gonna do that tomorrow. And it's the next day, and I'm getting the feeling that this is gonna take a while. Yeah, it's just a slow and tedious process of hooking everything into power and moving over a little bit. There's 7, there's 8, and then there's 9. Then you gotta remember there's gotta be at least 1 extra. You gotta put it onto here, and then you do the whole thing all over again. Then once that's done, I just have to kind of get the iron sorted out, but that's easy comparatively, so maybe another half hour, and then we'll be ready to turn it on. The crowning moment, finally. Now I did want to just kind of go over a design decision that I made really early on, and I kind of went through with it on the other versions, or the other parts of this. So I made it so that each floor is slightly more in than the rest in terms of like the belt work. So this one is slightly to the right, and then a little bit further in, a little bit further in, and then the top floor is the most furthest in. And I thought, you know what, that's a really cool idea. I should probably continue that for the belt work on the ceiling as well. And, you know, the problem with this is that once you kind of like get into an idea or decide that this is the way it's going to be, you get kind of shoehorned into making sure that it's perfect. So when I finished it and I had 3 of them perfect and this one's slightly to the left, it means I have to go back over and finish this top floor a second time. And I caught it early enough, like I did all the belts and I did the conveyors, but if I was already into it and I had the splitters all set up and it was all linked in, I would have just said no. But because it's still early on and I checked for mistakes before I got to this point, I can fix this. It won't take too long. I just have to move this over by 2. Now the one thing that doesn't work out very well with this method of like, you know, having a belt a little farther away for, you know, design or aesthetics is that there's no snapping option. It doesn't like click into place like you would see on a normal belt and splitter setup, because it's expecting something basically like right here. Like if I just had it lined up perfectly along here, I could just slap it right on the front and it would work. But because it's not there, I kind of have to eyeball it and then click it in and then move to the next one, eyeball it, try and aim it up, make sure I'm facing due north so that it's correctly aligned, and then click it in. And I have to do that for every single one of them, for every single floor. And there's no recourse. It's just you kind of just have to do it. Bit of pain, bit of suffering, but you know, it's for the Vine. No, that's not a thing anymore. It's for the memes. It's for the clout, internet clout, the clickbait titles, whatever it is. It's for something, right? Also, just a little rant. I can't put down this one. I had to fix it. Something was broken. Fix it, haha, pun. But there's something in the way. And I know there's something in the way because listen to this. I'll boost the volume. Ready? That click? That means it's locking onto something. Which means it thinks there's something here. And it's trying to like connect to it. But there isn't anything here. I'm standing here. Oh, servers are just so scuffed. And then it's like, oh yeah, totally. Yeah, you wanted that? Hold on. There we go. Cool. But there's still nothing here. And I can't, like, there's something here. So now this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because the next step, let's assuming these are all working and I'm not awesome sinking all the steel pipe, is that we have to make these 20 steel pipe into either 15 per minute, but the machines are outputting 20, and then we've got 5 going out. That's fine. We can figure out the 5 later. And the same is true for the rotor recipe, 5 per minute, which we're deviating from the normal recipe because this one only does 4 per minute, and that's just a mess. And I didn't do the iron rod factory and screws. I hate screws so much. But that leaves you with a bit of conundrum, because you've got 10 per minute and 30 per minute, that's fine, sure, and it outputs 5, so let's go to the big billboards. So then you can get about 40 assemblers or 200 rotors per minute per floor. But if you try and do that same kind of calculation with your stators, you have to do 15 instead of 10 per assembler, and then you get this weird gross number of 26.67 assemblers, and then you make 133.33 stators per floor, and it just doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work. So then you have to start thinking, well, what if I start doing belts together and sending some to other floors and doing some weird wonky stuff? And I'm like, no. No, just look at it a little bit longer and see if you can find what needs to be done. So we've got 10 and 15. You had to find the 15. If you've got that, that just means that for every motor, you need 25 pipe. 400 divided by 25. And that's how many motors you can make per floor. And that's with no remainder. That is completely perfectly perfect. So in our entire factory, we can then calculate that our factory will produce 64 motors per minute, which sounds like not very much, but it's still above that Mark 1 level of 60. So I don't know, maybe it's all worth it. So you've got these 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row, and then the extra one on the end. And then you've got 1 on the end, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 on the end, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's your 100 steel pipe per minute. So with 100 steel pipe per minute, then you've got a multiple of 25. So then you don't even have to worry about splitting it out. You just make it work. Okay, let me put. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show you it, but hold on. I gotta make it. It's in my brain now. I gotta do it. Behold, my creation. This works. This actually works. Like, it's so perfect. Let me give you the tour. So remember, we're trying to split up 25s, well, 100 into 25, because yes. I just explained this to you, so I'm not going to explain it again. But this is what I did. I put 2 of them together, so that's 40, right? So 20 times 20, that's 40. 40 is enough to run 4 of these rotor factories, 10 per. So that's just a quick, like, merge and manifold across. So that's those ones done. And on the other side, I've got the second floor merger splitter combo of doom that comes over here and then jumps down here. This is just, this is building. Comes down here, out through here, and into another manifold system that splits it evenly-ish across all the other ones. So then we've got 15, 30, 45, 60, and remember the other side is just using 40. So that's your 100. And you know what the best part is? I'll tell you the best part. Come over here. So this is the leftmost of our things. And remember, this is a tileable design. Like, I built this to be tileable. You can go left, right, as many as you want. This side doesn't go farther than that line, but this one goes right up to this line, which kind of, if you include the ladder, it kind of like tickles just the right edge of that support. And then if you go onto this side, to the far edge, which will be this one. It's tickling. Oh, yeah. It's tickling the left edge of the support, which means this factory is also tileable. That's insane! And you know what? You don't even have to do anything super crazy. Like, you could put it all into a single belt if you wanted to, because look, you've got essentially 5, 10, 15, 20, because it's 1-to-1 to the motor. So you've got 20 motors coming out per module. You've got one motor module, 2 motor module, 3, 4 motor modules. So you've got 80 per floor. 8 times 4 is 24. So you're going to make 240 motors per minute. But, of course, that's just the steel pipe, and I kind of underestimated how much copper we're actually going to need for this. So I did a bit of math, just to, figure it out. Because this is a really big factory. Like, even just monologuing through this, that's probably 5 or 10 seconds just to walk through this. So I started doing the math on how much copper we need, and it's going to be 480 wire per floor for rotors only. You can do the math on that, so 480 times 4 is 1,900, almost 2,000 wire, just for the rotors. That's just the rotors, and then when you've got the stators for 640, you need more wire for the stators. So again, you do 640 times 4, you've got 2560 wire for the stators in this factory, like all 4 floors. So altogether, you've got 4,480 copper wire needed for the factory. That's an ungodly amount. I do not have that kind of infrastructure built out. So now over there, let's just do a quick, I'll jump up there in 1, 2, 3. There we go. Whew, big jump. Now I'm stuck over here, just kind of like building this out. It's a lot. And I'm choosing refineries for this because there's a recipe that you can get the pure copper ingot. And it uses just a little bit of water, but it almost it does double. It almost triples your copper ingot output instead of just having 1-to-1. That's how I'm going to do this, because if you just go back to that math, I think it was 4,480. So I went up to 4,500 just so there's a little bit of extra. You can divide that by whatever this number was, 37.5, 37.5, and you get exact numbers. So I need exactly 120 copper wire producing things. So then you divide that by 2 to figure out how many ingots you need, or I guess ingot factories. So I need 60 refineries to process and build out all of the motors over there. And I thought I was done. I honestly was like, oh boy, here we go. The iron ore is done. I've got it all belted almost. The power is all set up. The recipes are in, and now I got to go back to basics and do this again. So I've got another 32 to put down. I'm doing it in rows of 20, so then I can do basically a pure node. This works out to 1 pure node and 1 normal node, so I've claimed this one and this one. And I'll just belt them over and then split it out. Then the water, you only need like 900 water or something like that, so it's not a lot. You can just run like 1 water extractor and you're good to go. Well, maybe 2, maybe 5, maybe 10. And then all of that has to go into another setup for constructors. I've got it on the right side there. It's 150 constructors. That'll get me 150 times 30. That's the 4,500 copper wire that I need. And then once all that is done, I belt it over there. Honestly, I might just do like instead of belts, I might just use like a tractor or whatever the big one's called. What's that guy called? The truck. The Dodge Ram 1500. Because it's got 48 slots of inventory, so it can probably do this much better than just belts could. Anyway, I'm going to put all these in. I'm going to do all the more belt work. And I guess once this is set up, I can see if it's working and start pumping it into an awesome sink for now, and then it'll get shipped across the map, split into 4 floors worth of stuff, and then we'll be good to go. And you know what? It's a bit of a tedious job, you gotta go through all these, but once you get it all done, it kind of just works out fast. Like, you can just kind of do this, and then once you get into the groove of it, you just kind of float all the way across. It's really kind of satisfying once you get it down and it's working. Oh, I missed one. Not perfect at it yet. Almost got all the way to the end. And I just gotta do it another 3 times. Alright, it took like 5 hours to get all the belt work done. So it's time for a factory tour. So, the start is pretty easy to figure out. It's just a bunch of these. I'm gonna take up a whole bunch of water from over there, and it's going to go into these. There's 3 rows of, I can't remember, it's like that many. You can count them if you want. There's that many of them. So once you get past this, that all outputs into a beltline feed system, so it all kind of meshes together. I did count it out. The Mark V does handle it, but only 1 row at a time, so there's like 3 of these. Now once you get to the end, they all come down this way, and then they form up right here. There's 1, 2, and the third one's just that tiny little belt. And they split out. Because these things take 15 and the others are putting out 37.5, it gets a little bit complicated in terms of math, but I've just got it splitting between 2 floors, so then it's basically like 37.5 divided by 2. Again, there's a lot of these. I can't remember how many there are, but I'm sure I'll put the number on the screen just because I'll listen to past me talk about it and it'll be there. It's just a manifold system. I didn't decide to do any sort of like crazy setup so it's load balanced or anything. It'll eventually all turn on, and it'll eventually all spit out. And then there's 3 on top, 3 on the bottom. So it's got a max output of like 750 by 6, which is 4,500. And I think we needed 4,480. I really hope we needed just 4,480, because then I made this huge belt line. Oh, I forgot to mention, this factory does not just sip a little bit of power. This goes 2,188 just for this copper factory. And then the water and the 2 nodes of copper. And anyway, so 2188, remember that number, because then over here, wow, that's majestic. I finally did all the belt work and logistics, and I think I'm going to need the entire belt ride to explain it. So the rotor side requires less per assembler. So this side just kind of goes in, and then each of the lines inside of this stack has a little bit of belt that is set to 480. So everything moves fast as it's moving through, but then it hits a 480 spot and just kind of stops. Well, it slows down. That 480 is perfectly balanced for the entire row, so it'll just take 480 in and 480 out. Then there's this hullabaloo. I'm actually missing a piece right here, but essentially it's taking the 750 coming in, doing a smart split on it, so the overflow goes to the right, and then that happens twice, and then those 2 are merged together, so you get a 540 belt, so then you have enough for the third one. Then the 540, you take that number, 540, minus the 480 that's going upstairs, you got 60 left, and that's what's being, or what should be pumped out of here. So then we've got 330 feeding into this one. Why 330? Because that's the leftovers. Remember, if we're doing 1480 and we have 1500, we've only got 20 to play with. So even that little bit coming from the top, that 60 line, is actually really necessary to run this at full capacity. So that's feeding on the top line. Remember that. I don't have to walk through the belts again. It's the same thing as the top, just 3 belts coming across, 750 each. The stators take 640 wire per floor. So if I had 4 belts, then I could definitely just do that because it would be evenly split. I almost wanted to like make it into like a 4-way split, but then you'd have to do all the belt work because you've actually just got just under the cap of Mark V belts here, like 750 versus 780. So you can't really split them up really easily. And anyway, it doesn't really matter. It just takes a lot of effort. So I decided just to do this way, which is take the 3. So you take the 750, goes onto this floor, and just another manifold setup that goes through and, you know, does the thing. And then when it gets to the end of the line, let's just run down this one. Here we go. So we get to the end, it comes out on another belt and then just kind of feeds up into this messy setup. So each floor does the same kind of mess. Goes into that merger right there. And then it goes up and into a feedback line that feeds right into that top line that was getting the 330 from before. So it's completely, I wouldn't say it's completely balanced. The top one's going to get 20 extra, but it also has to wait for everything else to fill up before it can even get filled. So this one just kind of takes the scraps from everything else, and that does it. It'll figure itself out. So next up, it's literally just take the outputs from here. So like I said before, there's things going in the floor. You put those together into one system, and the output is 5 per minute. All this for 5, but it's 5 times a lot. And I think I'm going to need more resources for that. But before we go on, I think it's time to give this a startup. Oh, I still have to do all of these ones too. Oh no. Does everything else have power? Yes, okay. So it's just this line, Did I do these ones? No. Did I do these ones? No. Did I do these ones? I just put the power pole in and gave up. Oh no. Okay. Well, it's another 30 to 40 minutes of work. Okay, I'll be right back. All of this just to make steel pipes into motors costs 3,500 megawatts of power. Now it is a bit extra. It's a bit too much. Like it's still loading in. There's so much of it, but it is quite magnificent. And I hope it turns on properly because I haven't tested it yet. I wanted to get it all done first. So without further ado, let's slap these. What are these? Mark 3s. So let's slap some Mark 3s together. Start these belts up. And then this one behind. So that's going in. There should be coal coming down. Yep, there we go. Coal coming from that side. It's all being fed. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, yeah. Coal's trickling in. The lights should start turning on soon. There's one. Looks like this side's still a little bit starved for iron, I'm guessing. Oh, almost there. Looks like it's all set up. Just waiting for that one green light to come on. Come on, you can do it, buddy. Just waiting. I'm gonna be here for a while. It's gonna be the last one to load up. But it looks like these ones are working. Yep, we've got construction of steel ingots starting. We've got, oh yeah, there's the steel pipes. They're moving along into the machines. Okay, and then on this side, no power. No power? What? No power? What the heck is all this hooked up to? Nothing. Oh, there's one. Wire too long? No, it isn't. Okay, there we go. Now it's all hooked in. Being fed. Okay, now we can go check the wire. Hopefully, it's just working, and I can pick up some more fuel while I'm over there. Ow. Oh, I see some stuff. Look there. Oh, it's starting. The belts are moving. We've got copper wire coming in. Yep, it's going to fill up this one first, and then the overflows will follow through. Let's just double check these other lines are working. One working is a little bit frightening, but I bet you it's just the water being pushed through the first set first, and then the next set comes after. Okay, yeah, the lifts are working. That's good. So this should start getting copper. Good. Okay, and then we got more copper, lots of copper, lots and lots of copper. Hopefully this one over here is working. I've got one fuel left, okay. But it looks like it's working. We got copper coming out. Lots of it. Hopefully about 4,500 of it. No power. Oh, it's all, oh, what happened? I didn't do this one. I didn't do this one either. Oh no. More belt work. I'm all out of cable. Oh no. Okay. Well, it's half working. It's half working. So let's grab the dune buggy. We got to go back for more fuel and more wire. But it looks like the full system is functional, albeit not hooked up to power. Drive back, get more fuel, and then our journey is finally over. All right, there we go. All turned on. And it looks like this one's at least running at full capacity, stopping every now and then these ones are still being fed up. I just started these ones. Looks like we're probably pushing about 5,000 megawatts at this point. But it looks like all the belts are moving. These ones are a little bit less full, but I think they just turned on, so that's okay. And that means that there's copper wire going to both sides. I mean, stators and rotors are being made right now. Ooh, it's time. Which means the assemblers at the back should be pumping out motors! Oh, there it is! 50 hours of work! So what does all this work amount to? Well, 160 motors a minute. All of this, and then all of the other one, and all of this is just 160 motors a minute. But that's it. That's the motor factory. It's this one, and then that one. That's just for, I guess it's just a wire factory. That's just wire, and then that's motors, and then, you know, there's steel pipe at the front, but yep. Another piece of the turbo motor assembly complete. So if we go check our production again, I have enough for a manufacturer. Just land right on top. One turbo motor. We've got the motors done. We've got the rubber done. So now it's just cooling systems, which is going to be a pain, and radio control units, which are also going to be their own kind of pain. But for now, we're up to 173 hours of playtime. I think I started at 120, so I need a break. It's been a lot, and it's just beautiful to see all this copper wire moving, but I do need to stop. I need to go look at this. I need to touch grass. There's grass that needs to be touched. So until then, consider subscribing. This was a lot of work. 50 hours is nothing to sneeze at, of course. And I've got 2 more parts left to go before we can make 20 turbo motors a minute. It's all worth it. It's all worth it, I swear. I swear. Just wait and see. You'll see. Until then, though, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.